Arachnophobes, beware. There was once a world where spiders didn't lurk in the shadows, but dominated the land, where massive arachnids as wide as dinner plates hunted freely in the open. A world where spiders were the apex predators. If you're not scared, then let's dive in. Hundreds of millions of years ago, long before the rise of the dinosaurs, the Earth was an alien world. It was the late Carboniferous period, around 320 million years ago, a time when the planet was almost unrecognizable. Vast swamps stretched for miles, thick with towering trees, long before birds or even flowers had evolved. This was a world where insects and arthropods reigned supreme. With oxygen levels nearly 50% higher than today, the air itself fueled their growth, allowing them to reach nightmarish proportions. Some examples include Megarachne, a dragonfly the size of a seagull, Arthropleura, a centipede as long as a man, and some crocodile-sized millipedes creeping through the forests. But the real horrors were something a lot of people still fear today. These were the ancient ancestors of spiders. And just like all of the other insects, these spiders got huge, creating some of the largest arachnids to ever exist. One of the most fearsome arachnids of this era was Mesothelae, a primeval spider-like predator that could reach nearly 2 feet in leg span. Unlike the fragile web spinners we know today, Mesothelae was built like a tank, its body armored with thick, segmented plates. It is often depicted as being totally black with red fangs, even using its large mandibles to make clicking noises, a fearsome sight for something the size of a human head. Unlike modern spiders, Mesothelae couldn't spin intricate webs. Instead, it was an ambush predator, much like today's trapdoor spiders. It dug deep burrows, lining them with silk for reinforcement, and then waited, motionless, until something strayed too close. It had particularly short, strong legs that it used to strike with immense speed once it sensed vibrations on its web, impaling its prey with dagger-like fangs. Many of its modern-day relatives use venom to kill prey, so there is potential for this prehistoric arachnid to also use venom, although evidence is scarce. Regardless of if it was venomous or not, with its large fangs and strong legs that it could use to hold or even impale prey, its victims, giant cockroaches, prehistoric millipedes, and even small vertebrates, never stood a chance. The most well-known prey of the Mesothelae was the early reptile Petrolacosaurus, and the spiders would even raid the nests of this lizard-like reptile. It is likely the giant dragonfly that we mentioned earlier, Megarachne, would have preyed upon a wandering Mesothelae, so they preferred to stay within their burrows alone, refusing company even with their own species. Living in burrows had its dangers at the time, though, as they were susceptible to flooding, although this risk outweighed being dragged into the sky by a seagull-sized dragonfly. Despite setting the stage for arachnids to come, they too had to be careful in this creepy jungle. As time passed, ancient arachnids began evolving into something new, something more refined, precise, and adaptable. Among them was Paleothele monsioensis, one of the earliest true spiders ever discovered. This species, found in fossils dating back over 310 million years, possessed one critical advantage over its predecessors: true spinnerets, the first evolutionary step toward the web-weaving predators we know today. Unlike Mesothelae, which relied purely on ambush tactics, Paleothele may have used silk for trapping, signaling, or stabilizing its burrow walls. Though it likely wasn't weaving aerial webs yet, it had already begun crafting the tools that would make its descendants some of the most dominant hunters in history. It was relatively small, only around 3 to 5 centimeters, but the advantage that it gained from web spinning made it a very successful predator of small insects at the time. It lurked in dark areas under logs or even in their own burrows, ambushing prey and using its silk to capture and wrap them. But not all prehistoric spiders hid in burrows. Some actively chased down their prey, like Eophrynus. Eophrynus wasn't a true spider. It belonged to an extinct group of arachnids called trigonotarbids, distant relatives of modern arachnids. But in many ways, it looked and hunted just like a spider. This predator was covered in hardened plates and spikes, an evolutionary defense against other massive arthropods and amphibians of its time. Its long, powerful legs made it a fast-moving hunter, enabling it to chase down prey like a prehistoric wolf spider. Instead of waiting in burrows, Eophrynus actively prowled the jungle floor, using its speed and sharp fangs to overpower smaller creatures. It didn't have silk-producing abilities like true spiders, but it didn't need them. It was a pure predator, built for the hunt. Following on from this terrifying predator was one of the largest spiders to ever exist, or so scientists thought. Given the name Megarachne, meaning giant spider, this animal had a secret in store. It reached up to 50 centimeters with massive legs and a large, imposing body. But as science advanced, researchers uncovered a shocking truth. Megarachne was not a spider at all. Instead, it was a sea scorpion, or Eurypterid, a distant cousin to modern scorpions and horseshoe crabs, bringing the terror of arachnophobia to the water. This opens the door to the largest sea scorpion ever discovered. Jaekelopterus is an extinct genus of giant sea scorpions and is one of the largest arthropods ever discovered. Some specimens are estimated to have grown up to 2.5 meters or over 8 feet long, much larger than the terrestrial kinds. Its most striking features were its two large, scythe-like pincers at the front of its body, which were used to catch prey. Its powerful claws suggest it was a formidable predator, capable of grabbing, crushing, or tearing apart smaller animals, as they measure in at 46 centimeters or 18 inches long. Jaekelopterus occupied a niche in these waterways as an apex predator, preying on fish and smaller aquatic arthropods. It probably ambushed prey by hiding in the muddy bottoms of rivers or estuaries, striking with its massive claws to immobilize its victims. Fossils of a fish called Lecreaspis patula from modern-day Utah had puncture wounds on them that were attributed to Jaekelopterus. Some evidence suggests Eurypterids like Jaekelopterus could have crawled onto land for brief periods, possibly to molt or lay eggs, adding another eerie dimension to their predatory behavior. Where they differ from the terrestrial scorpions is the tail. This sea scorpion has traded in its stinger for a broad, flat tail and paddle-like limbs, making it highly agile with high maneuverability. The hydromechanics of the swimming paddles and telsons, basically insect tails, suggest they were capable of hovering, forward locomotion and quick turns, though they were not necessarily rapidly swimming animals. Regardless, such agility is very impressive for an animal the size of a car. So whether in the dense jungle, out in the open or in the water, arachnids were the true rulers of this prehistoric jungle long before the dinosaurs. Thanks for watching. See you next time.